Please stand for the flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, on behalf of the board, I welcome all members of the audience to this afternoon's meeting. This meeting is a working session of the board to conduct the business of the district. The agenda for today's meeting has been published and the agenda items have been studied by board members. I'd like to introduce the people here on the dais with me. To my far left is Recording Secretary Cindy Benson, Superintendent Larry Francois, board members Amy Cast, Sandy Hayes, Dawn McCravey, and Kimberly D'Angelo. I'm Janet Quinn and I currently serve as president of the board. Agendas for this meeting as well as minutes for previous meetings are on the back table with the agendas. If you are here to address the board on agenda items, please sign in on the clipboard that's on the table at the back, and you'll have an opportunity near the beginning of the meeting for your comments. The first order of business tonight is a special celebration, and I am going to introduce Donna Tayo. We have a graduate here this evening with us, Tessia Lee, and Donna will tell us all about her.
So, for those of you that don't know, we have an online program where students can earn their North Shore School District diploma through an online program called Grad Alliance, and as they graduate, we get to honor them in front of the school board and all of you. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about Miss Lee here, who's on her way to San Diego State. So Tessia is the prime example of perseverance and motivation and drive as it was very apparent in her junior high at North Shore Junior when she started her pre-IB and honors classes. She's getting nervous, I can feel her next to me. And started in with the DECA program as a sophomore, ended up going to the international competition and placing as a sophomore in her junior year. She took first place in the international competition, so very, very talented. And as most of the kids in our Grad Alliance program, there's some reason that happens in their life, and I always say life gets in the way, that she ended up not being able to continue on at a traditional school setting for some medical reasons. So we are very pleased to have Grad Alliance to allow these kids that are so talented to finish out their high school career in a way that fits best in their life as it turned out. And so Tessia ended up accomplishing 8.5 credits, I think is what we decided when we were out there, in about a year. In about a year. And that's about a year and a half's worth of work in a very short amount of time. So again, very motivated, perseverance, very talented, and again, we'll continue that at her college at San Diego State. So even though the medical issues had stopped her from pursuing her career goals of high school, she did it in a different way, and now she can continue on at San Diego State. Although we never talked about what you were going to do. What are you doing at San Diego State?
I was going to do business, but I decided
So she's already got it planned, and I'm sure just like she did her high school, she'll do very well at that. And so we've been working on the hat, so we'll work on, Tessia, I told you that when we get to this point, this is when you get to graduate. So I say, school board and Superintendent Larry Francois, I verified that Tessia has met all the school district requirements as well as Grad Alliance requirements to be a graduate of North Shore School District. And you are now graduated, and you take your tassel from the right to the left.
Tessia, I'm going to offer you congratulations on behalf of the board, and we're going to come down and get a picture with you as well. As I said in the hallway, you are welcome to leave. We are not going to make you stay for the whole meeting. Again, congratulations. Thank you for coming. And the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. I want to thank the board members who were able to attend and participate in this morning's kickoff of our 2015 August Advance at Eastside Foursquare Church. I want to give a special thanks to Carolyn, to the assistant superintendents and their administrative assistants, Cindy, of course, our technology and operational staff for all the work that they put into plan for, organize, and coordinate high-quality Advance, and we'll be there for the next 2 days. On your desks, you should each have a copy of a book called Whistling Vivaldi. And our presenter this morning, Caprice Hollins, referenced this book a couple of times in her presentation throughout the day, and she suggested this might be a good read for board members in advance of your training session with her on August 25th. It provides a good framework for much of the diversity and equity and cultural competency training that she provides. And along those lines, I'm pleased to announce or introduce an individual by the name of Joanne Hill, and Joanne will be coming to us to provide some oversight and coordination for the implementation of the Equity and Diversity Plan adopted by the board in June. And I met Joanne on the recommendation of Chan and Kelly Ray, and Carol and I had the opportunity to meet with Joanne in late July and felt like she would be an excellent fit for our needs. She's a longtime teacher, a principal and district administrator in Chicago, California, Maryland, and 15 years in the Seattle Public Schools prior to her retirement in 2009. She has a clear passion for the work and cultural change articulated by the board-adopted plan. So her role will be to sustain the focus and momentum around moving the various elements of the plan forward over the next 12 to 18 months while we assess and define our longer-term equity and diversity needs. So we're in the process of scheduling a meeting with Joanne and relevant district staff connected to the Equity and Diversity Plan by the end of August so that we can transition her into this important role and get her moving in her coordination responsibilities. On July 15th, I attended the Audit Exit Conference with President Quinn and Directors Cast and D'Angelo, and I want to give my appreciation and thanks again to the Business Services and Capital Project staff who spent many hours helping facilitate the auditor's work and providing the necessary information for the auditor's office. On July 23rd, I had the opportunity to attend the professional development provided by Teachers College out of Columbia University that was hosted at Woodmore. We had over 80 North Shore teachers voluntarily attending a full week of professional development and instructional coaching. The teachers were clearly engaged, excited, and motivated, and students will clearly benefit from the learning and growth participating teachers receive and will carry back to their classrooms and schools. Then on August 4th, along with President Quinn and Director Cass, I attended the Educational Roundtable with Representative Susan Delbene. We had representatives from the Riverview, Monroe, and Lake Stevens school districts participate, as well as representatives from Cascadia College, UW-Bothell, and the Washington State PTA. We discussed a broad range of relevant topics, including the reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, federal education policy and funding in general, early learning, STEM, college accessibility and affordability, and several other topics. And really continue to deeply appreciate Representative Delbene's interest in educational issues and her accessibility and outreach. She really does an incredible job making herself available to those of us back in the district here. And I want to give special thanks and acknowledgement to President Quinn, who really took the lead to organize and coordinate the roundtables. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Larry. A public hearing is required by law before the board takes action to approve the budget, and Executive Director of Business and Finance, Lydia Selly, will present the 2015-16 budget to the public for comments or questions.
Is this working? Is it working? Yes. Thank you. This is the one time a year I get to address the audience. So today we are presenting the 2015-16 North Shore School District budget for our public hearing. The budget process began in January with the presentation of the budget timeline to the board. That was followed by the 3-year budget projection, which was also in January, the enrollment projection in February, and certificated and classified staffing in June. The first public reading of the budget was at the July 14th board meeting, and it was discussed in further detail at the work session that followed. The budget we are presenting today is complete and balanced. There has been one coding change made to the general fund since the July 14th meeting. Program 45 expenditures, which is the Skills Center, have been moved to Program 79, other instructional programs, in accordance with rule changes of OSPI. This did not change total expenditures in the general fund. I have brought a new copy of the FY95 reflecting that change, so if anybody wish to have it this evening. It will also be posted on our website this afternoon, if it hasn't been done so already. With the 2015-16 budget, we are requesting the board approve expenditure authority for each of our 5 funds as follows. The general fund budget, which is our day-to-day operational costs of running the district, in the amount of $230,200,000. The capital projects fund budget, which is construction, modernizations, and major system upgrades, in the amount of $145,196,000. The debt service fund budget, which is payment of principal and interest on existing debt, including our first payment on the 2015 bond sale, for $46,750,000. The transportation vehicle fund budget, which is our yellow school buses, for $1.2 million. And the associated student body fund budget, which is student body funds at all our schools, $3.972 million. And at this time, we would be happy to entertain any public comments or questions on the 2015-16 budget.
Okay, so you just, okay.
Yep.
And I'm going to ask you
Yeah, how do you
to
want
go
to
to
do
the
the process?
microphone,
Okay,
if
sure.
you would, so that it's captured on the audio. And please state your name for the records.
Thank you. Ken Smith, and I'm the spokesperson for the North Shore Citizens for Transparency. And so I had an earlier email exchange to clarify. We have 4 questions, and I think we CC'd you, but I know it was this afternoon. So the first question is, how exactly is the $17 million increase in the operating budget from last year being spent in the July 14th budget that we have seen the district outlined? There's about 4 or 5 pages of the program enhancements, which is about $5.3 million, and then there's another about $12 million of increase, and so we wanted to see the detail of that.
At the July 14th study session, I handed out a 1-page document to all that were in attendance that I have more copies of if you would like. That is a 1-page outline summary. We estimate the COLA of 3% district-wide is $4.15 million, and again, I have a few copies of this. The pension increases to the district, $3.37 million. Health benefit increases, $280,000. Running Start, alternative learning education, and Open Doors, $195,000. Additional full-day kindergarten teachers for Wooden and Kenmore Elementaries, $150,000. The $5.4 million program and staffing enhancements, that the list was also as part of the budget PowerPoint held on July 14th, $5.4 million. Additional elementary classroom teachers above and beyond those program enhancements due to primarily growth, 17.7 FTE, which is estimated at $1.77 million. 2 additional assistant principals for schools exceeding certain enrollment thresholds, $320,000. 1.4 additional elementary librarians, $140,000. 5.2 additional secondary classroom teachers, $520,000. 2.8 additional special ed certificated teachers, $280,000. 2.5 additional Title LAP and ELL teachers at $250,000. Elementary basic ed classified staff, that's your non-instructional teaching positions, $350,000. And then special ed classified staff, 7.2 FTE, $360,000. So that totals 17.5 million, and I have the list available.
Thank you. And is that list posted online? Because I didn't see it earlier.
No, it's not posted online, it was handed out at the study session.
Okay. The next question is on the Capital Projects Fund. So on the June 23rd board meeting, the capital facilities plan was presented to the board and approved by the board. And on page 28 of that document, there's 75 and change million requested for capital projects for the 15-16 year. The budget resolution is asking for 145 million, and so there's a difference there of around 70 million, and we've not seen that posted online or discussed. And so I was just wondering what the difference is between the capital facilities plan from June and the budget that's being requested.
The capital facilities plan, if you look at the bottom, it's a summary of bond expenditures, planned bond expenditures. The budget for 15-16 includes expenditures being made out of the technology levy, as well as the unassigned to fund balance, basically the unreserved funds for things like property acquisitions.
And has there been a list of exactly what that additional money is going to be spent on? Because that's what we're looking for, is the exact list of what that money is going to be purchased, and if that new list has been subject to public discussion, because we haven't seen it.
Well, if you review the F-195, the F-195 requires us to detail the projects that are to be funded and what category of funding, say it's land or building or equipment or energy, and that is documented in the F-195 as required.
But in terms of like, that's going to be used to buy a truck or this facility here, or that detail is not available.
The F-185 doesn't require it.
Okay. And then the third question is the MSOC, the materials and supplies. How much more money has the district received this year? And how is all of the materials money being spent? There was a question on one of the citizen groups about having to buy reams of paper on the supplies list, and that there was also discussion that the state had greatly increased the amount of materials and supplies. So could you talk a little bit about materials and supplies?
So when you say this year, do you mean 15-16 or the year we're in?
15-16.
Okay, thank you. So we're estimating, based on projected enrollment, that material supplies operating costs will go, revenues from the state will go up by 6.8 million. We have made some improvements to the schools, to their building funds next year as planned. But the reality is that our levy is going up about $1 million. If you look at the COLA and the pension increases, our out-of-pocket costs are pushing $3 million. So material supplies operating costs are also funding additional staff.
And then the other question was, this is the fourth and last one, how much new money, if any, is being spent on the diversity or equity initiatives? I didn't see it when I looked through the program enhancements, but I just didn't know if it's there, and I didn't see what category it was in.
So the diversity equity plan that was approved on June 23rd was the same date that we provided the board with the program staffing enhancements. So we know that there's going to be a cost and there's going to be a plan, and we're working on that and hope to have an estimate of the projected cost for 15-16 hopefully by the end of the month, but no, that hasn't been fully determined.
But it is the plan to have the ability, or however the budget is put together, to pay for that, the diversity staff, or however that is.
There is no diversity staff per se, but we're determining the training costs and the consultant costs, and we do try to provide some flexibility with the budget to do less of A and perhaps do more of B.
Okay.
So
Thank you very much.
We'll get it worked out.
Thank you very much, Lydia.
Sure. Okay, are there any other questions? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. Next item on the agenda is association and public comments. The North Shore School District Board of Directors has set aside a period of up to 60 minutes to receive updates and comments from association leaders and citizens from our community. The board expects speakers to address matters related to district operations, policies, procedures, and agenda items under consideration by the board. Comments should not make reference to any employee or representative from the district by name. If interested, there is a complaint process available through the Office of the Superintendent. Please note that because of the public governance process, the board may ask clarifying questions regarding topics not on the meeting's agenda, but will likely refer discussion to a future meeting if warranted. In order for staff to prepare any necessary background information for board members to review and for the discussion item to be included on a published agenda for the benefit of others who may be interested. Alternatively, a district employee or board member may respond to individuals offering public comment at a later date if warranted. When addressing the board, please state your name clearly for our records. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. There is a timer that will sound when your time has expired. And we really appreciate your participation in the governance process. We'll start with association leaders.
Hi, I'm Karen Sullivan, and this year I am the co-president of NSPA. I'm a school assistant and a paraeducator at Fernwood Elementary, where I've worked for 11 years. I'm also a member of the NSPA bargaining team. I've provided you with a copy of what we said at the June 9th meeting, including the supporting data, which we later provided. The Woodinville Weekly story about the meeting is also included. We also spoke on March 10th. I'm here today to report to you that there has been no progress whatsoever on the key issues in negotiations. There has been no progress on changing the district's low-pay, few hours compensation model for NSPA. That is the central issue in our negotiations. And there has been no progress on nurse staffing at our growing schools. Worse than no progress, your bargaining team has not even acknowledged there is a problem to address. They have acknowledged no inequities. They have denied that there is a problem. They have also stated they are unwilling to make any commitments to increase the number of full-time NSPA positions. And they have made no proposal to address the need for more nurses, hours, and staffing, despite our district's skyrocketing growth, except for 2 additional nurse days in the largest elementary schools. To solve a problem, the first step is to agree that there is a problem to solve. Then you can explore possible ways to address it. Denying that there is a problem is not acceptable. Your bargaining team continues to compare our pay to the pay of other low-paid women in other school districts. They tell us that it's about right. They tell us that the state's market rate study that compares the pay of women to women and men in comparable work doesn't mean very much. This is a classic case of institutional gender bias. Comparing low-paid women to low-paid women when you have the state study simply perpetuates the low pay of women. If we can agree that there is a problem to solve, we can begin to negotiate how to solve it. If there is no recognition of a problem, then these negotiations will continue to be fruitless. North Shore's employment model for NSPA members is the largest injustice in North Shore that you have complete control over. There are other major problems in North Shore, but this is one that you can change. You've just received a $2 million windfall, $2 million that you had committed to labor costs for teachers that won't be spending on teachers. With this $2 million windfall, you can provide NSPA members with a $4 per hour pay increase next year and combine part-time assignments to create 15 full-time assignments next year. That would go a long way to transitioning in the $6 per hour and more full-time assignments to address this injustice. Tim Brittell will explain. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Good afternoon. I'm Tim Brittell, president of the North Shore Education Association. The $2 million windfall that Karen mentioned is real. If you look at page 19 of the district collective bargaining agreement with NSEA, you can see that in this coming school year, the 2015-16 school year, the third and final year of this collective bargaining agreement, the parties had agreed to a guaranteed pay increase of 3% of the teacher base pay, no matter where it came from, whether it came from the state or the district. You committed to paying 3% more. As it turns out, the state funded the entire 3% increase, and this took that off of your responsibility. By the way, 3% of the teacher base pay is about $2 million. When we negotiated our current contract in 2013, there had not been a state COLA for years. There was not one on the horizon. There was not one that had just been discussed in the legislative session. They weren't going to be doing it. No one knew whether or not it would materialize in this current budget that just came out of our legislature. So the district, I know, was prepared to pay this cost of $3 million, plus the usual costs on top of it, those associated with pension, Social Security, unemployment, if the state had not stepped up to cover it. The district has already committed to 3% for all NSEA members, as I said, whether the state was going to do it or not. This state funding is continuing funding. The $2 million will continue to come to the North Shore School District year to year like other state funding for salaries. It is not one-time money. Since the district made a commitment to pay this, if the state didn't, but you aren't going to pay it, then this $2 million should be available to you. $2 million that you had already decided was going to be used towards labor costs. It is a fact that the district supplements the state funding for NSPA far less than other district staff. We've talked to you about this numerous times. You have the data. We ask that you invest these funds in an attempt to close part of this gap. We ask that you use the $2 million to address the institutionalized gender bias, let's call it by its name, that the past school boards have been blind to and have chosen not to do anything about. $2 million would cover an approximate $4 pay increase for each NSPA member and leave enough funds for benefits for 15 more full-time positions by combining assignments. That would be a very good start. There is never a perfect time to make a significant change. This is probably about as good as it's going to get. It is not a coincidence that there is nearly $2 million in unassigned reserves in this proposed budget, and there are other funds available. For example, $1 million in reserves set aside for curriculum, even though the curriculum costs had already been itemized in the budget. There are other available funds that we believe you can identify. You should be leading this. You're the school board for the North Shore School District. You've committed to leading this. The time is now. The funds are here. This is an opportunity for you to do the right thing. It would be nothing less than irresponsible to, again, just kick the ball down the road. Labor costs are increasing. We've seen that across the board. It is becoming increasingly difficult for you to compete with the private market. We know that. You've got to make some changes, however. You've got to make some steps, and we believe you can. This gap that has existed because you've chosen not to use part of the local levy money for NSPA is a practice that it is time that it changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Other associations? Becky.
Good afternoon, I'm Becky Birch, and I'm co-president of the North Shore Schools Foundation. I'd like to thank you for inviting us to participate in today's advance. We thought it was a great way to see everyone again and start the ball rolling for the new year. We appreciate the enlightening topics as well. We're interested in working with you on your work on vision, mission, and goals, especially as it relates to our complementary relationships. So we look forward to changing our priorities if your priorities should change, as we always want to match up. And speaking of priorities, our Backpacks for Kids program is doing really well in collaboration with the district, and so we hope to continue this partnership. in the future. And we are gearing up for the new school year. You've probably seen that we have a full slate of events and activities, and we look forward to seeing you there. So we look forward to a great year. Thank you very much.
I have a question. What's the deadline to bring the backpacks? I'm sure it's on the website, but since you're
I
up
think
here.
it was on the 30th of July.
they will pick
But I
July.
think they'll do
Okay.
it. Yeah, yes, it's
Okay.
right around now, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sherry Rudolph, North Shore Council PTSA President. And I also enjoyed today's event. It was very encouraging and very always great to see everyone again. Start off the new year. I was going to share nationally, from our new president that is from Washington State, National PTA. We're very excited on the lobbying that they did on the whole bill is the HR 5 Student Success Act. But the part that we're very excited about is the local academic flexible grants. That authorizes a new grant program that would provide funds to school districts to develop supplemental student activities, such as before and after school learning, and additional activities that support students, such as adjunct teacher programs and academic subject-specific programs. The bill would authorize the appropriation of $2.1 billion for each of the fiscal years 2014 through 2019. So, and there's also special paragraphs on at-risk students. So, I'm sure there's a lot of things that didn't get in, but at least there were some things we wanted that did get in. So that was exciting. And also, I just posted on our Facebook page, so the council Facebook page. Next week on the 18th, there are some webinars called Engaging Hispanic Families. So you can sign up there either in Spanish or in English. And so that's kind of continuing a symposium that we got to attend at National. And it's through Univision. Univision is a big partner in engaging the Hispanic families. So if you're interested, I don't think, I have the link, there's 2 postings, so look, there's the links on there, you can register. So, and I think it does require registration. And also at State, we are incorporating a brand new database, so we're excited to get that. Cindy Jensen, of course, is our super trainer on that, and we'll be letting our 30 units know. We've heard back from almost all, we've heard back from 27, we have all the contact info, so we're just ready to get off and get everyone excited and trained. State is also, instead of having us be kind of that collector and gatherer and bearer of bad news that you're not in compliance with all of your best practices, we now are going to have just one sheet with the standards of compliance, all the things through the Secretary of State and all of the things that we need to be doing as our good business that we are with, you know, the State PTA. It's going to all be in one form, and we'll get one email that tells us the schools that need to do that. So we're very excited about that as well. No more of, we don't want to be the PTA police, so it's more fun to be a partner. And then locally, she's not here, and I did invite her to come at a later date if she wants to share her whole report, and I'll post that as well. Sue Freeman, the Small But Mighty, she applied. It was you know how painstaking the grant process is. We just were awarded a $2,000 grant from the city of Woodinville for the North Shore Community Kitchen. So she's very excited, and we're going through all the signing and the paperwork now. The Y has continued for another year to partner with us in that. So yes, very exciting. She's deciding on all kinds of equipment for the kitchen, and she has volunteers galore, some Girl Scouts working on some certain badges, and it's just very exciting to be able to help feed needy families in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Any other associations? No. Move on to citizen comments, and we'll start with Craig Beck.
Thank you. This morning at the district advance, Caprice Hollins joked that being on the school board is a no-win situation. That's often true. But what Karen and Tim just described is a win-win. Finally, after 6 years and after the Supreme Court contempt ruling, the state came up with a COLA. That's left you with $2 million and more if you count the mandatory additional benefits that you don't have to spend on teacher pay. You'll probably hear that the district budgeted for the state paying much of that anyway, so it's not really a $2 million windfall. But if you compare apples with apples, it is. This morning, Caprice also said that the conversation about bias is about impact, not intent. She said, suspend your good intentions and look at your impact. She also said, look at what you can do. What is in your locus of control? That is what we are asking you to do. We've again provided you with the chart, North Shore pay rates compared with the state salary recommendation and the state allocation. You have that right now. It is a fact that NSPA staff are underpaid compared to comparable work done by men and women. We're not making that up. It is a fact that increases of 21% are needed for nurses, and increases of 31 to 32% are needed for about 90% of NSPA members. It's about a $6 an hour gap plus the COLA that's needed to bring the pay up to market rate. We're not making that up. It is a fact that this $2 million windfall and the projected unassigned fund balance puts this in your locus of control. We don't question your intentions. We're asking you to look at your impact. We've always done it that way, and everyone else does it, are the classic explanations of policies and practices that are forms of institutional bias. Caprice said this morning, a fish doesn't know it's wet. You have all the facts, you have the funds. If you don't want to define the problem as one of institutional gender bias, you can define it as a gap between what the district pays and the market rate pay, and a gap in the proportion of NSPA staff who get full-time, full-day assignments. Some of you are leaving the school board in December. What will your legacy be? We will be meeting again with your bargaining team in a week on Wednesday, August 19th. We hope that your good intentions can be seen in their impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Judy Harkis.
I'm Judy Harkis, and I'm a registered nurse here at North Shore. I've been here for 16 years, and I'm a dual school nurse. I have Sorensen Early Childhood Center and West Hill Elementary. I'm one of 3 nurses that has 2 schools. I'm on the NSPA bargaining team, and I'm here to update you on the status of negotiations regarding nurse staffing. Our school nurses support the comments made by Karen and Craig that you just heard regarding the need for market rate salary increases and full-time positions. There is a nursing shortage right now, and for North Shore to keep its nurses and to replace the ones who leave through retirement, it's going to be important, it's going to be essential. And you know that elementaries have skyrocketing enrollment, you've seen that. Fernwood, for example, 828 students next year, 129 of those new little kinders. Frank Love, 751 students, including 313 new little kinders. Morelands has 691 with 107 new little guys. And Maywood Hills, 674 students with 224 new kindergartners. Then that's just to mention a few. The district has responded to this growth by adding assistant principals and deans and some secretarial hours. That helps principals manage the office. But there's been some kind of a blind spot here for what's going on with the nurses. The nurses have the health needs of the students and their staffing level to protect for district liability and student health services is at risk. And the growth of these schools does affect the office, we understand that, but it also affects what we do in the health room. The staffing guidelines for North Shore nurses were written years ago, and they provide 7.5 hours a day for a nurse for 450 students. There is no additional allocation for 600, 700, or 800 students in a school. So the nurses are expected to keep the students safe and healthy, meet federal special education requirements, and protect the district from liability without regard for the number of students. And I gotta tell you, that's just getting to be impossible, just impossible. The district has added 2 extra days before school starts for those schools that are above 600 in enrollment. And that's a start, but it's not nearly enough. With over 600 kids, you need an 8-hour day every day for the nurse in the office. Lots of kindergartners mean more time. They all have to be registered from scratch and all their health information input. So before school starts and during the first part of fall, that's a lot to do. 313 kindergartners at Frank Love could use another half-time nurse there to manage all of what's going on with them. They may need special ed, and the health assessment for special ed takes hours to perform that piece. And kindergartners have a lot of other needs. Sorensen Sorensen has a lot of extra needs too, and complicated health care, and 4 hours just isn't enough to manage all of that. It needs to be a 7.5-hour day. So I'm asking you to consider more allocation, and the next speaker will kind of flesh out more of what I'm.
If you have additional comments written, be sure to give them to Cindy and she'll distribute them to us. Thank you. Helen Zimkowski.
Good afternoon. I'm Helen Zinkowski, and I'm the school nurse at Canyon Creek Elementary, and I've been the school nurse there for 20 years now, and I'd like to talk to you about how nursing has changed in those 20 years. I've been at the same school, so I really have seen a difference. In 1995, when I started, I had less than 400 students, and in that was included 3 half-day kindergarten classes. As of today, and I was in today, we now have 665 students, and we're still registering, and we have no kindergarten students this year because they're all going to Frank Love. In 1995, I had one life-threatening condition that required an emergency care plan, and that was for a student with asthma. As of today, I have 39 life-threatening conditions that require an emergency care plan, and those include conditions such as anaphylaxis, type 1 diabetes. I have a student that's had a heart transplant that also has life-threatening allergies, and these students all require emergency care plans, 504 plans, and individual health care plans that we do before the school year even starts, but they also have to be revised during the school year as those students' needs change. In 1995, even though we weren't required to do vision screening and hearing screening on 4th and 6th graders, I did the whole school because I thought it was important. Vision does change between 3rd and 4th grade, 4th and 5th grade. Today, I cannot do 4th and 6th graders because I just don't have the time. I do them if there's an immediate need that's brought to my attention, and of course I will screen them, but we no longer screen 4th and 6th graders because we don't have the time to do it. Maywood and Frank Love will take an entire day just to screen their kindergartners. My work day in 1995 was 7.5 hours a day. My work day now, with an increase of students and an increase of health conditions, is still only 7.5 hours a day. And I'm not able to get my work done in that time. As an elementary with over 600 students, we have a high volume of injuries at recess. Not really serious injuries all the time, but still when those students come into the health room, I have to give them my attention. Actually doing recess injuries is just a small amount of my nursing time, but every time a student enters the health room, I have to log that student in, which takes time. I have to tell exactly what I've done, what the results were. Paperwork has become a huge issue for us. Most of us went into school nursing because we loved kids and wanted to make a difference, but we're finding that we're becoming overwhelmed with all of the paperwork. Plus, there's the added paperwork for head injuries, if there's a serious injury like a broken bone. Oh, that one, quickly. Anyway, I do have, for the rest of it, all timed up, and I'm just saying that in order to really do my job, I need more time.
Thank you, Helen. Ken Smith.
Thank you very much. My name is Ken Smith, again, from the North Shore Citizens for Transparency. Very much appreciate the budget hearing and the improvements that the district has made towards transparency and in the budgeting process and in the budget hearing. We've given several questions and concerns to the district, and we very much appreciate that almost all of those were addressed in the discussion during the budget hearing. The budget board briefing, and then having the opportunity to ask those questions. Basically, there are 4 items that we would like to ask the board while you do your deliberations of the budget to consider making a motion and discussing. The first one is the full details of the Capital Projects Fund in the document that was provided by the district just now. There's 19 million to be spent on sites, 99 million to be spent on buildings, 15 on equipment, and 10 on energy, and have not seen the details of that. And I just think the public deserves to know what is the plan for those and where is that, and that has not been provided to the public. So I think we would request you to get that list before you approve the spending of that money. If you have to actually go forward and give the information to OSPI, then you could pass the budget but put an allotment or hold on that money until the details have been discussed in public. In terms of motion number 2 on the operating budget, we have just now received this listing. We had not received that before. There is a concern that the additional money that you receive for materials is going to salaries, and that's a policy issue that you can discuss when you get to your discussion. Motion number A, or letter A, about an internal auditor. Fortunately, there was an audit report, an audit finding by the state auditor, and there were also several audit exit items. And we believe that it's time for the board to strongly consider the proposal for an option, and to ask the superintendent and staff to develop that. There are many different ways of doing that, through outside CPA firms or through internal auditors. The city of Seattle has 4 full-time internal auditors, so relatively speaking, North Shore probably size-wise would have 1.5. Would be roughly equivalent. Other districts have auditors as well, and so do many cities and other courts. And then the final recommendation is about community-based budgeting. As we move forward in wanting to increase the involvement of the public, many districts have a citizen budget committee, and there's a budget award that the OSPO, the Association of School Business Officers, run. There's schools that have 15 years of winning this award, and there's other ways in which the district could continue to improve their process. This year was an improvement under a very difficult time condition, and hopefully the district can make a commitment to earn that award maybe in 2 or 3 years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ken. Edwin, you can pronounce your name better for me.
Hello everyone, my name is Edwin and I am in 5th grade EAP with my twin brother Audric. We were in Sheltonville and were assigned to go to Sunrise. However, we don't want to go to Sunrise Elementary School. One reason is that Sheltonville Elementary School is 10 minutes away from our house. Sunrise Elementary School is twice the distance. With the traffic, it will take over 13 minutes to go there. You may tell me to take a school bus. Well, taking a school bus means that I have to go to Woodmore Elementary first. Woodmore is 15 minutes by car from my house. Besides, we need to join the after-school program, so my parents have to drive a long way to pick me up. The second reason is the reassignment brings lots of inconvenience to our family life. The extra hours spent on the road will use up our time. So what about our evening swimming class, our chess class, our piano class, and our math study? Finally, the most important reason for us to refuse to go to Sunrise is that we already went to 3 elementary schools, Moorlands, Bear Creek, and Sheltonville. We don't want to go to another school because it would take too much stress to start everything all over again. We hope you consider our concerns and support us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very well spoken, thank you. That does conclude the association and public comments for this evening. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on any of these items?
I think I would like to pull off the school board meetings piece of the board meeting schedule, C10, on the consent agenda. This change to the school board schedule takes to a Wednesday. Of course, that would be impossible for me to attend. And although I won't be here for that next year, I don't think it's appropriate to decide exactly when the meeting should be held before the new board members are on here to give their input to that. So I'd like to see that pulled off, perhaps moved to a different time.
We can definitely move that to to its own agenda item.
Okay.
So that will be at the end of the action items. Is there any discussion on any of the remaining items?
I do have a number of questions for the automotive machinist lodge number 289 bus mechanics contract. That's that.
Hello.
Right. So on page 14, 24.0 and 24.1 is an addition of random drug and alcohol testing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that in all of our contracts?
Yes, that's a perpetuation of stuff we have in other contracts that have people with CDL, commercial driver's license.
Oh, is that the only contracts that it's in then?
I believe so. I would have to check to make sure, but I believe that we have that as part of the CDL. People with the CDL have the random drug testing. Is that what?
That's the state law?
Yeah.
So why wasn't it in before now?
I don't know.
Thank you for cleaning that up.
You're welcome. I think it's probably just something that we came around and fixed this time through.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of language removed on the conversion of illness or injury leave.
Mm-hmm.
Will we be seeing that in the language from all of the contracts?
Yes, we've worked, that's a consistent cleanup. Not every single contract was in the same place with that language, and so how we changed it here, it wouldn't necessarily look the same in other contracts, but what we are attempting to do in situations like that is make that language consistent from contract to contract, and how we've cleaned it up here won't necessarily be how we clean it up with trades or bus drivers. It'll be different because their language might be a little different as well.
But all the language will look similar then?
That's our goal, to make that language similar.
Great.
Yes.
That makes sense. So then on page 24, in the state inspection incentive program, did Washington State decide not to do random inspections? I thought that that was a Washington State requirement.
That is, and the random inspections are still happening.
Okay, in the language at the beginning, the summary,
Yes.
eliminated the random inspection.
No, it eliminated the bonus.
Okay.
The random
eliminates the bonus,
inspections are
not
still
the
happening.
inspection.
The bonus that we were paying them, we will not be paying them that bonus for the random inspection.
Okay, that was real confusing. I thought, gee, do we just get to do that? That's
No, we don't.
Interesting.
So there's two inspections. There's a random inspection, and then there's the full summer inspection.
Okay.
And those are not going away.
Those remain, but you've changed it to a certificate program now for additional pay.
The certificate program has always been there. What we did is, to stay competitive with other districts, is we added a fifth certificate. A lot of the other, we had 4, and we've added a 5th one for another increase in pay. So they can earn up to 5 certificates and get extra pay for the 5th one. And that's, most of the neighboring districts had added a 5th one.
Thank you. My other question is for the NSEA salary schedule, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so this is a straight flow through of the 3% that's granted from the state, and I see that it is applied to the base
is applied to Schedule 29, the base schedule, but not 29B, the responsibilities factor.
Right. Which saves a little bit of local taxpayer money, but my question was, how many teachers is NSD employing that's greater than the amount being funded by the state? You know, we hire more teachers than they fund for, and what does that translate to in a dollar amount that our local taxpayers are picking up?
I don't have an answer to that question. Lydia might. How many state-funded units we have, or how many units over the state funding we have?
We have probably less than 5. Where our difficulty lies is special ed. For instance, federal special ed that doesn't increase. Since the feds aren't increasing, we absorb the full amount of that 3% COLA. LAP, special ed, title, it's an analysis of each group, but it's usually special ed that can't receive the COLA or the pension increases without using local funds to do so.
So my question remains, how many people is that?
District-wide.
Just to clear, are you asking how many people get the extra COLA that the taxpayers pay for, or how many extra positions are there?
Extra positions are there? How many people?
Because I think that's a different question.
How many people are there that the
Yeah.
state's not sending the 3% COLA increase for?
Yeah, and Don, I don't have an answer to that question. We can certainly find that out unless Lydia has it at her fingertips. It'd probably be,
Get it?
well, there you have it.
This is new technology for me, so let me see.
I watch. It's really reruns of Leave It to Beaver.
In Excel form.
I love that show.
So by FTE, not headcount, 1,192, it's my best estimate as of May, the May HR report. 1,192 that we fund, 934 approximately that the state's funding.
State only funds less than half of our town.
Oh, I'm sorry, 1,192. The state that the district is funding in FTE, 934 that the state is funding out of basic ed.
Difference is
258.
Oh, I see.
Okay.